Recently, I've been making a lot of like little gift boxes, and it's part of a project that I'm calling the Proverbs 25:11 boxes. And the idea is that I take this box and I create it and I make it really, really nice. And usually I just use old scrap junk. So it kind of gives um, the material a new life, right? Makes it something better than it was ever really meant to be, and certainly better than it was destined for, which is the garbage. And so the idea is that in the same way that I change these materials and I make these nice boxes, God changes us and works in us to lift us up. And it's just supposed to be something to lift somebody up. That's all. I made this box. It's out of Purple Heart and soft maple. It's a beautiful combination. You see the contrast there in the dovetails, these hand cut dovetails. It takes a lot of time to do these, but I'm getting better. It's just a very, very, very strong joint. It's the very image of integrity. It's a very good example of that. I volunteered to give a talk on perspective and integrity, and I thought, what better way to do this than to use these boxes that I'm making? So I made these two like identical boxes, right? They're very much the same, but there are some fundamental differences, and I'm going to use these to kind of illustrate my point. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's around, even when no one's watching. And if you take a look at this box, even in the spots where people really aren't paying attention, it's really nice and it's thick and solid wood all the way through, and the joints are tight. In this other box, which at least from a distance looks exactly the same, I took some shortcuts. You see how thin the wood is there? This is not a good box. It's basically all frame and it's practically made out of a veneer, right? And so the idea is that we're going to talk about focusing on what really matters and what it truly means to have integrity, and how your perspective can really change, and how important those things are and how they go together. So I'm not prepared to take video of the whole presentation or anything, but I do want to get a picture of the aha moment. And so I'm going to see if I can take just a short video and I'll add to it a little bit later. And we'll talk about what happens to this box that has no integrity, and what happens when we change our perspective and see this thing for what it truly is. Stay tuned. So I've got these two boxes, right? One has integrity and one does not. So what happened? They're both dovetail joints. They're both hand cut, hand fitted. They work very, very well. Just as much time went into making the crushed box as the other box. We spend a lot of time trying to make ourselves look the way we want to look. People can't know our internal weaknesses. And when we focus so much time on looking good, a lot of times we can't withstand the storms of life. Okay, well, I think the point was made pretty well. Integrity wins out every time. I did not expect all this. I mean, this box just completely disintegrated, and great was the fall of it. Even these dovetails on the poorly made box were made very well. It's just that they were cut off and replaced with a veneer. So when we focus on making things look really fantastic from the outside, and I do this too, we neglect what really matters. The stuff that matters, the stuff that holds everything together. And it's only a matter of time before we fall apart. Perspective is also important, because if we change our perspective, we understand what parts of our lives we really need to be paying more attention to. From the outside perspective, this box was just fine, but when you look inside it, that's when you see that there's a lot of stuff that's been neglected. And so it's important for us to gain perspective before we have a catastrophic failure of integrity. You know, it also bears mention that there are certain things in life that we can just accept Things that have no true bearing on our character and our inner strength. Things like circumstances. Take these hinges, for example. I bought the cheapest hinges I could find because you know what? It's not about the hinge. It's all about the box. The hinge just serves a purpose. Instead of putting a lot of effort into finding the very best hinge, I just got what was needed, and that's okay. Sometimes we need to change our perspective, and all of a sudden things that really are important, like hinges, like your circumstance, are not necessarily the things that you need to be working so hard to change. Sometimes it's okay. And so this is just a good lesson on integrity, but also perspective, and I hope you enjoyed it.